Hello, my name's Bill Holland, and today I think we're going to talk about how to develop characters in a novel or short story. I think of my favorite characters over the years. First one that comes to mind is Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird. Classic job of character development. Harper Lee, in a simplistic way, developed a character that we all fall in love with. And that's not easy to do. To me, that's an incredible task for a writer to accomplish, but she pulled it off. Took her years. For those of you who think this is a simple job, remember it took her years to develop the characters that we have loved now for over 50 years, 60 years. So not an easy job. So how do you do it? The first thing I do, I get an idea of a character in my head. I brainstorm what I want my character to appear like, how I want them to act, what their belief systems are. The latest character in my new novel, Shadows Kill, his name is Eli Baker, and he's a conflicted human being. And really, most of my main characters in my novels are conflicted. I think it's important to realize when you're developing characters that they should be human in every appearance. They should have good and they should have bad, as we all do. You know, I'd love to let you know that I'm perfect, but it's not happening. Okay? Not on my best days am I perfect, and not on the best days are any of my characters perfect. Eli Baker is an incredibly imperfect human being. He's a good guy, but he kills. He is fed up with the justice system, and he's taken justice into his own hands. And yet he volunteers time with kids, he works for the church, he does any number of good things. Where's the balance? Okay, where's the balance between good and evil? Eli straddles that line, and there's constantly a balance. And I think in his frailties and in his imperfections, we can come to enjoy him as a character. So I picture what I want in my brain the character to appear like, okay, how I want them to act. And then I sit down and I interview them, and if this seems like a bizarre method, oh well. It's my way of getting to know the character in depth. So I literally sit down with a list of questions and I ask my main character the questions, and then I write down their answers. The muse provides the answers for me. I'm not hearing voices in my head. And so when I'm done, I have a complete biographical sketch of the character. Okay, who their parents were, what kind of childhood did they have, where did they go to school, what's important in their lives, what hobbies do they have, whatever. Okay, I may not use all of that information in the book, but I have it there to form a picture for me in my mind of who the character is, so that I'm consistent as I develop the character in the book. I want it to be consistent with the biographical sketch, and by extension with my concept of who the character is. So I sit down, I interview the character, and I write out a biographical sketch. Again, I try to remember that characters have layers. Okay, no one is all good. Okay, interestingly, one of the Lee Child, who writes the Jack Reacher novels, I read an interview, or I watched an interview once with him, and he said that when he developed Jack Reacher, he decided that he was going to develop a character who could not lose. As close to indestructible as you can imagine an action figure being, or an action character being. But still, there are layers to him, despite the fact that he's almost invincible. there are layers to him, and there is some good and there is some bad. There is some empathy and there's almost a sociopathic tendency at times to Jack Reacher. So your character has to have layers. He can't be one-dimensional. Okay? One-dimensional is boring. We try to avoid boring. Okay, so give your characters depth. What does your character look like? You describe him physically. Well, what are his habits? What does he like to do in his spare time? What clothes does he wear? What idiosyncrasies do they have? Draw from real life. Okay. I'd be hard pressed to tell you that I don't think any of my characters are just invented. Okay. I've taken characters, they're bits and pieces of people I've known throughout my lifetime. You know, I've been around now for 67 years, so I've met some pretty interesting people. There's no reason for me to reinvent the wheel as far as character sketches. I've known some serious characters. Okay. Ted Bundy was our paper boy. Hello. Do I have to say anything else? I've known people who probably deserve to be saints. I've known some incredibly good people, and I've known some incredible assholes. So I use them all. You know, some people will be a conglomeration of 2 or 3 people I've known in my life. The point is that I don't need to get too fancy when I'm developing or when I'm inventing characters because I've known them. Okay, so I just go back and I think back to people I've known. In my book, Resurrecting Tobias, there are 3 main characters, Tobias King and his 2 sidekicks, and all 3 of them are people that I've known, plus, you know, a little of me. There's a little of me in the characters, and I think that's important. I know me better than any other person I know, so I like to borrow from me for some of my characters as we go along. That'll give you enough to think about. Do I do this for every character in the book? No. No. There are some characters, you know, the waitress in the all-night diner. I think back to waitresses I've seen, and I just, you know, invent her on the spot. You know, the kid selling cameras does not have to be developed. But in every book there are, you know, 2, 3, 4 main character, and then, you know, the level just beneath that main character, the 2 or 3 others who appear constantly. I do that with those 3 or 4 characters. I do the interview and the biography, and I develop them as closely and as tightly as I can. So, give it some thought. Try interviewing your characters. I think you're going to like it. Make sure that there are layers. Make sure that you don't, you know, strain your brain when you don't have to, because we've all known some interesting people. Use those people. And then when you're all done, and this is important, I want you to stop and think about this. When you're all done writing, when you're all done with your book, when you're all done writing your book, ask yourself this one question. Do you like your characters? Yeah. Do you like them? If you like them, then you've done a great job. If you don't like them, I'm not talking on a personal basis. I'm, you know, like in Shadows Kill, I've got the antagonist is Jeremy, and Jeremy is a serial killer. I don't like him as a person, but I do like his character. His character is exactly what I wanted. It's like a Hannibal Lecter character, who you can almost, you know, Jeremy, you can almost understand what motivates him. You can almost find an inkling of sympathy for what happened to his life. Almost. But I love that character. So, sit down, do it all, develop the characters, and ask yourself, do I like that character? If you like them, keep them. You got a winner. That's all for today. Thanks. My name is Bill Holland, and I hope you spread your wings and fly with your writing today. Thank you.